Hey listener, I'm super excited for this episode to come out. This was a unique experience that brought us together at the Wisconsin State Conference just a few months ago. I want to give a special shout out to Trista Taylor and Chad Holt for making that happen and bringing this together. The hospitality and the welcoming was incredible, and we had such a great time meeting all of the unbelievable professionals in Wisconsin. And then on top of that, super special shout out for our youngest superfan, Rooney Taylor, for not only being there on a school day, but for hopping up and asking us a question during this recording. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, potential sponsor. Did you know that each episode of RecLess averages over 500 listens? That's 500 potential agencies that you could influence or reach. Over all of our social media and listening platforms, we have over 2,200 subscribers and followers. Not bad for this little passion project of ours from 3 professional work friends. This spot right here could be yours. Not only would you reach the Parks and Rec masses, but your contribution goes directly to supporting Parks and Rec professionals in our field through scholarships for professional development. Contact us today at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Season 6 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venero, 3 professional friends, if you know, from around the country, bringing you a surprise guest each episode. This project has made an impact, educates others, and continues to support a growing community. Thank you for being part of it. This is RecLess.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for coming today. My name is Jay Tryon. I'm actually your host today. So for those that have listened, I'm going to be...
And why would you? Really?
It's very typical to get interrupted when you do an introduction when he's here. But so I'm going to be kind of leading the show today. And they don't know who the guest is. And our guest is in the audience. That's really exciting. For those that have listened before, just give me a show of hands who has listened, just so I know.
How disappointed.
Okay, so for those that haven't, just to kind of go over just a very quick rendition of what we're going to do. So there are 2 people in the audience today that are going to be our guests. They have no idea who they are. I don't think anyone else in this room, other than maybe one person I think I told, knows who they are. So it's your peers. We are going to dive into a conversation about all things park and recreation, about their history of why they become park and rec professionals, where they live, what they do. I have questions that I'm going to ask them. I have no idea what they're going to ask them, and the guests don't know what they're going to ask them. So who knows where this is going to go. We're really excited about it. Chad, the introduction was great. Ideally, the goal is to just empower everyone on showing the passion that we all have for park and rec. We love what we do. This conversation started just based off of an idea Shane had several years ago of like, hey, listen, we get to talk to some great people. How can we spread that to allow other people to hear those conversations and get to know other people from around the country? So that's our goal today. So how we kick things off typically is whoever is hosting has a bunch of facts and hints about the guests. So for those that
there's like 15 minutes of fantasy football talk.
Yeah, there's also that.
Yes, we typically have like an intro question. We're going to skip that today because with us having 2 guests, I would love to just dive into their career path and their world because it's going to be a great conversation. So for the folks that know the people that I am going to bring up here today, you might be hearing some of these hints and like light bulb goes off, which is fun to see because I can actually kind of like see it, like who might know who the people are. So I'm just going to dive into it. And I'm going to sit down just because it might be more comfortable for the guests as well, even though I prefer to stand and walk, but we're recording this. So I can't really just walk over there because the microphone may not pick it up like it would if we were sitting. So first guest today has spent nearly 20 years throughout a variety of roles and departments in Wisconsin and has been a very strong role model for the industry. And that's actually coming from multiple people that are in this room right now that have told me that. The guest has 3 children, all boys. Every one of them has bright red hair. So that might key off some people that know. I just saw someone's starting to nod a little bit. Their ideal vacation, and I would love to dive into this conversation later, maybe some more, but their ideal vacation is muskie fishing in northern Wisconsin. The biggest one they landed so far measured at 46 inches. And they recently built a small cabin up north so they can spend even more time there doing that. Graduate of University of Wisconsin Stevens Point College of Natural Resources, widely regarded as one of the top natural resource programs in the country. The guest is a certified arborist and holds a Trail Master certification from Trail Design Specialists. They are an avid music fan, love all genres of live music, which is something we kind of talk about, but Shane doesn't really get into the music world, so we don't always go down that path. The guest is very involved with WPRA, including receiving the Recreation Section Young Professional of the Year, serving as a Park Section Chair-elect, past chair, and also has received the Park Section Professional of the Year and many other honors. They bartended their way through college, which I feel like a lot of us have done that. And their retirement dream is to work Friday night fish fries at a Wisconsin supper club, slinging brandy old fashions and Manhattans, while capping off the night with dessert drinks like grasshoppers and brandy Alexanders, which I think everyone would enjoy, whether they're working it or just like there to partake. So please welcome the Parks Director for Dane County Land and Water Resources and your incoming Board of Directors President, Joleen Stinson.
Hey, I thought I was gonna guess. Neat, welcome.
So Joleen came up here like when she walked in just to say hi. And I got it. Like that was a great introduction just to make sure, hey, like you're here.
Like I'm here, yeah.
They were both like, oh, like who's that? And they didn't know. So it's perfect.
There we go.
So next guest is a graduate of actually one of our college alums. So he's a graduate of Western Illinois.
Okay.
So Shane went there. Maybe they crossed paths at one time. I'm not sure. So we'll have to go down that path and see that. Prior to working here in Wisconsin, they served in a variety of roles in Illinois for over 17 years. During this time, the agency that they worked for won a gold medal and became accredited. Their first full-time job was administering youth athletics, but their first job in the field was back in high school working at an outdoor pool for the district in Illinois. They were in that field before they even knew it was a career option. In 2023, they were awarded the WPRA President's Award. They have sat on a number of WPRA positions, including DEI committee member, professional development committee chair, and a member of the board of directors. Their first office was an old classroom. It was huge. It was great for storage, but you can never have enough storage. Parks and Rec is a family affair for this individual. Their sister, brother-in-law, and aunt are all involved in the field as well. And they travel the country for juniors, college, and adult volleyball. Too much time is spent in convention centers. So for our next guest, please welcome Recreation Director for Mequon-Thiensville School District, Matthew Vanderkamp.
Matt, you're a Leatherneck? Were we there the same time?
Oh,
McComey homie.
yeah.
I figured I would batch one of the words over here. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Joel, for being up here. So typically the way that our conversations go, since I'm hosting, I'm just going to kick off the first question. Like I said earlier, like I don't know where these guys are going to go with this conversation. And we've had,
Oh, what year? What year?
oh, see, now they're already having some side conversations up here.
We're trying to figure out what year, we're trying to figure out what year the Macomb.
0204?
Yeah, I graduated in 02.
Look at that.
Huh?
They're probably at the change of pace at the same time.
No, I don't know.
So just to kick things off, I am curious early on in your career, if there was a moment in time where you knew this was the right career path for you, like an aha moment, and what that was.
Should I go first?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to school for natural resource management and got my first job out of college in a nonprofit, like environmental education center. And it was a great fit for me. I loved it, but nonprofits are unstable, right? And it was the middle 2000s, and I ended up applying for a job in Parks and Rec, thinking like the pay is a little bit better and it's permanent and it uses some of those same core like programming skills, getting people into nature. Like I wonder if I can sort of fall into Parks and Rec. And it actually worked. So I think the aha moment for me came with being able to do what I'm passionate about, turn it into a really, really rewarding career, make a difference in my community, and like still live those values that I continue to hold dear of land stewardship and restoration. So maybe it's, it's baseball or maybe it's prairie restoration, but like there's a piece for all of us here in this industry.
Cool. What about you, Matthew?
So my aha moment would probably be at a more of a stressful point in my early part of my career. As you articulated, youth athletics, anybody that's did youth athletics, that'll just burn you. Then somehow did it for 15 years, which I don't know if that makes me crazy or what. But we had dealt with a scenario of a really tense volunteer coach scenario with, having to have meetings in the evenings and going through that. And at that point, I was still early in the career. Believe it or not, that evening I went home and wrote and rewrote my resignation letter to leave the field. And so I remember writing it, rewriting it, of course, didn't sleep at all. Showed up to the office early because I was ready just to start working at 6 because I didn't sleep, might as well go to work. And I remember pulling in, and my supervisor at the time, who was actually in that space with me to support me while dealing with the scenario, she actually stopped me in the parking lot. She showed up to work out, and she said, "I just need you to know I've dealt with a lot of scenarios and been there with some volunteer coaches in stressful situations, and I just want to really thank you. I think you did an absolutely outstanding job, and have a great day." That resignation letter went under the seat of my car, ended up getting torn up and thrown away. And I realized at that point, the aha moment was I wanted to be what she was to me as a leader and be in those spaces to support other folks. So like in my career, getting to that leadership role is really what I want to do, is to build people up and support them in times when you really need it. Yeah. So that was my aha moment.
I love that moment because, and we have not talked about this, but like, I don't know about everyone else in this room. I know early on in my career, I had several times where I'm like, this is hard. And I don't know if I'm cut out for this, and looked at changing careers, and so glad 20 years later, I never did that, because, I could have resigned at any point and just been like, I can go down any other path I want to go. And, the benefits far outweigh those challenging days.
When the response from leadership bailed you out and gave you a second chance, it's interesting because when I got early in my career, I led how I wanted to be led, right? So I am someone that can be pretty aloof. I can come in, not necessarily want to talk to a bunch of people, sit down, do my work, don't want to impact them. When I was coaching, I didn't feel like the locker room was the coach's place necessarily. It was kind of the player's place. And so like, I don't like to walk into staff's offices unless they invite me in. Sometimes you'll have a boss just bust into your office and sit down, and it's like, God, I'm trying to work, and so I might stand in the door frame and talk, but I don't just let myself in or whatever. And I thought at first, as a young leader, the only way to lead was how you want to be led or whatever. Did that trigger something different in you? And I'd love to hear your leadership journey as well. Because what I've found out is most of my staff are unlike how I want to be led. And it's really stretched me in my leadership on, I have to engage some of them, and I do have to go into their office. Now, I don't just invite myself. I don't go in without inviting myself. But I do have to go around a couple times a week and go to the rec center and go to the ops building and see those guys and gals and talk to them and bump up or do whatever they'd want to do, when I would just sit in my office for 40 hours if I could and just do the work and trust them. But they want to be seen sometimes. And that's not something I could go the rest of my career without my boss talking to me, and I would be just fine. But some people need it, and so what was that like for you? Did that change how you were leading moving forward? And I'd love to hear yours as well.
Yeah, I mean, it changed me because it gave me that lens of being in the right place at the right time and saying the right thing. That same supervisor I had was also, when you walked into her office with a problem, you better come in with some solutions or ideas, because if she goes, well, how would you handle it? And you're like, I was waiting for you to tell me. She's
Right.
Like, there's the door, get out,
Yeah.
Come back when you have some solutions, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have the right answers, and your supervisor's going to be like, yeah,
Sure.
right with it. Let's go from there. So earlier on in my career, I was so lucky to have that individual there to support me and mold me, also hold me accountable, which was pretty good. I didn't think I needed it at the time, but as you get older in your career, you move on and you kind of look back at those things and you're like, man, you were really kicking me in the butt. Thank God you did.
Yeah.
It's a really important time.
Before you go, I think in Illinois, so I've transferred, my mindset, my major, I'm no longer a coach. I'm going to try to do this recreation thing, right? I'm out of sports management. I'm in recreation, parks and tourism. And I had a boss there that, y'all think I'm a mess now. You should have saw me then. I'm all over the place, to the point that he would make me do this exercise, Scott Fransk, where I'd have to write the 3 things I wanted to get accomplished for the week. And I'd just right in front of my freaking computer, you know. And then the next week, that was week 1. Next week was, did I get those 3 things accomplished and why? And what are my 3 things this week or whatever? And so I wouldn't say that I've carried that on through my career, but at that time it was something I needed, you know. And so, you know, some of that framing is important in a lot of different things in life, but the framing of that really helped me out. What about you?
Yeah. So my first job that I had in Park and Rec, I had a phenomenal leader and mentor who's actually going to be getting her Lifetime Achievement Award tonight at the banquet. And I would guess that any one of you in Region 3 would identify Sue as your mentor too, because she has been that for like everyone. And so I had the privilege to work with her for a few years and for her to teach me so much, about Parks and Rec, but like how to be a good leader, how to be compassionate, how to listen well, how to give back. And I think I learned more from her in those years, working with her. And then in the past 20 since then, almost is just like being a friend with her, that those leadership values that are so hard to articulate, you learn best when you see it in demonstration and just strive to be like them, right?
We referenced Sue in our session earlier, and she is a rock star from everything I've heard from people around and yourself. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So you meet people like like Sue and everybody in this room because of WPRA. And I know for myself and 2 gentlemen here that we've had a lot of experiences with, yes, they're gentlemen today. A lot of experiences with professional development organizations, whether we met through NRPA. So we've had that opportunity, but before that, for me, it was state of New York, a local organization. And so how does all those kind of buzzwords you just talked about, mentorship, leadership, how have those, how have they had given you the desire to go into professional association leadership? Obviously, you've both served. And how has that leadership impacted your career for individuals out there that may not be a part of that or who have not been, they come to the conferences, they enjoy it, but there's so much more to it, the behind the scenes, running a conference. How has that impacted you all in your career and then taking that back to what you do on the day-to-day to make you a better professional?
It's about just, we've said connection, we've said the networking, all those things, but earlier on in my career, the same supervisors you're speaking about almost like required us to be involved. Like you had to find a way to get involved in IPRA with Illinois. Park says that, through the rec section, there was athletic committee and getting involved in some capacity. Yeah, there's all the job, in the job, you have all the responsibilities, but how are you branching out? And in the moment, it's one of those things is you don't realize it until you look back and think, man, they really had a great playbook on how to lead. Because in the moment, you're kind of like, all right, I'll get involved with those other stuff. But it's all those connections along the way throughout your career. You guys know how, and I'm finding this out in the last 5 years, how small our universe is in the Parks and Rec field, not even just in our own state, but on the national level.
Yeah.
You start talking to one person and they know this person, they know that person. And it's about making sure you continue to keep those connections around and making yourself open to say yes. For me getting started in the association, like when I left Illinois and there for quite amount of years, it was nerve-wracking for me to come to another state. Like it really scared me a lot.
Especially this state. See their social last night? They just screamed all night. Loudest thing I've ever been at my whole life.
Yeah, with the band.
It wasn't even the band. It was, I think it was these people.
So, but just getting involved and staying connected in that fashion. And I think it was one of the first of all people, another person that's getting an award tonight. When I started, I knew the first thing I had to do was just throw my feet into the water and get going. I said yes to the first opportunity. It was Andrew Rasa from Milwaukee Rec. He was sitting in a region meeting and said, hey, we need someone to join the professional development committee. I'm like, okay, I think I can do something like that. 3-year term, 3 years. All right, sounds good. Sign me up. And then the rest is history. And next thing you know, it's
sucker. That guy.
Well, as Derek knows, you're going to be on stuff forever and ever and ever until you retire. And even after that, you'll probably still be involved. But yeah, it's about just being open, being willing to try new things and say yes. It's okay to say no, but it's good to say yes in the right times. And then you just watch the rest of it just kind of bloom. It's like a flower. You just watch it, sit back and watch it happen. And it's been great to stay connected and to do other stuff too, like take advantage of the mentor-mentee programs. I know I did one more at a national level, and I got partnered up with one of your friends, John, up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, and you meet for every month, you sit there and chat over the call. And then when you were both going to the whatever that next national meeting year, and it was at Atlanta, that's when you meet in person. We stayed connected since then. We call on Fridays on the way home from work, and we talk and we banter and think, well, you all know that things that aren't going well, it's like you just want to make sure you're not on the island by yourself. Like everybody else is dealing with the same thing. So you're like, I'm not crazy. But then it helps you kind of talk similar language and then just kind of leave it there. So then when you're with your family, you can be there present with the family as well. So yeah, it's a great bit of my journey with that.
Yeah. I love it. I love serving for so many of the same reasons that Matthew is definitely talking about. And I started in a small region rep on a section board pretty early on in my career, pushed by Sue a little bit, like, get involved. This is great. You're going to love it. You're going to make some new friends. And she was absolutely right, and then the level of responsibilities or the roles change and you just learn more and you can start to think about it like it isn't so scary, right? Like the person that's standing up at the annual meeting giving the president's speech, like I could do that. I thought that 10 years ago, and then just yesterday, like I got to do that finally. Like I can do it, and I find that it fulfills me so much. The relationship building and the ability to lean on each other in challenging times or conversations and what are you doing has been phenomenal. I could easily sit at a table at lunch with only people in my region, but because of my service through WPRA, I've broken out to make new connections all across the state with people that I wouldn't have known before. And I've learned so much from it. And so I love serving. I took a couple of years off when I had kids where I was like barely holding myself together at home and barely holding myself together in my full-time job. And I had to like push the WPRA volunteer pieces off of the plate. But when I was able to finally like throw my name into the hat again, I have loved it. And those years without it just didn't. Conference is always still fun, of course, but like it didn't feel the same. Like I will be a lifer in some sort of role in WPRA because it makes me feel so happy. And I hope that I'm doing good work, that giving back to the profession so that we all can just elevate Parks and Rec.
Were you nervous to speak in front? Did you have to earmuffs, Rooney? Did you have to picture them all naked? And right?
I don't hate public speaking. No. I think the nervousness is more like, is what I want, is the message going to resonate? Like, is this the right message? Is this the tone that I want to set? Not, can I get up here and talk in front of you all? Yeah, right. I mean, I could probably name half of the people. The name bands help with that too, but like we're friends. So it wasn't the public speaking part. It's more self-conscious about what is my message? Is it the right message?
Well, if I can add to that, so to take some barriers down, like Joellen talked about that, and I always say I was the one saying the numbers that nobody was listening to, and at lunch and whatnot. It's a little nerve-wracking, but taking out some of those barriers of stopping yourself thinking like, well, I can't go and run for a position of the board or a region, but I don't understand things like motioning and seconding. Trust me, you learn that on the fly, and you ask each other all the time. Asking Art, they're great at keeping us on track of all those things. So don't allow some of those things that would stop you thinking, well, I don't know how to do that. Take those away and know that if you're just willing and open to just spending a little bit of time to make sure that you're wanting to make sure that the association continues to be successful, volunteer your time in some capacity, whether it's a little micro volunteerisms, which is things that we're starting to push with, which could be an hour here, hour there, or a board position. But yeah, so trust me, when we get up on the stage and we were talking, it wasn't something that like all of a sudden there's like this huge playbook. There's not. You're running with it, you're going with it, and we're leaning on each other all the time.
If you're looking for a reason not to do something, you'll find it, right? But if you just jump in, the group will make sure you're all right. Yeah.
It's like the day-to-day with our regular jobs too. You know what I mean? We're always jumping in, and
you're thinking of people naked at your regular?
Always, every day. Yeah.
On record.
It is. It is. He knows how to make me blush. Like it's amazing. I guess we'll go to Jay.
I just want to actually like do a little plug really quick. You mentioned the mentor program.
Yeah.
For those interested, like feel free to reach out to any of us up here. The mentor program that he just referenced opened up this week for applications. So it's a nationwide program through the Academy of Park Recreation Administrators, and you can get paired up with someone from around the country, or you can be a mentor. So like depending on if you want to be a mentee or a mentor, like it just opened up this week. Awesome program. I know a few other people that have gone through it in Wisconsin. Derek, you've probably done it, I'm sure. I know Adrian has done it. I'm not sure if he's in this room, but like it's a great program. So I'm just going to plug that because you mentioned it. And then sticking with the theme and the topic you were just talking about with like being involved with the board, you guys are at record numbers this week. I think
Congrats,
more
by the
people
way.
at this conference than previous conferences, which is awesome. Love to see that. Love to hear that, from others that are in this room that have never been involved with a board or have really maybe said, I should get involved or I could get involved. Like what motivation tool can you tell them? Like we need it. Like the state association could not run without it. And whether it's a board member or whether it's a committee member, like what motivation did you have to get first involved, and like how can you motivate others to take that seat because you need it to continue to grow this organization?
Those are questions I ask myself a lot as we're looking at the slate of open positions and like thinking about who might be a good fit and how do I make this phone call to like ask someone to serve. Guilt works well. No. So, for me, the motivation is bettering myself and giving back. So I feel like it's been incredibly beneficial for my career to be successful because of the opportunities that I've had here and like through this association over the last 20 years. It's been phenomenal. And so I try to articulate that to people if I'm making an ask, but I guess don't wait to be asked. If you're like thinking about maybe wanting to do it and you have some questions, like talk to Matthew, talk to me, talk to anyone who has been in these volunteer roles before, and we'll tell you like, whatever questions you have, that it's not scary, that we're looking
You'll like
for
them.
It's not scary. We're looking for like
Long list.
yeah. Just passion, dedication, all of the things that you bring to your community every day are the exact skills that we're looking for in our volunteers, starting with a willingness. So get involved.
Well, it starts with a conversation before you even actually think about running for anything. Just have those conversations. I recall, I talked about Andrew who got me a professional development, so on and so forth, but it was somebody else on the board who's no longer in the field, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
It was at a social, it was the volunteer recognition social. It was in La Crosse a couple of years ago. We had a conference in La Crosse. And I remember I kind of was talking about it. She kind of pulled me to the side and she was, she's like, well, you think about getting more involved with some other stuff? I'm like, yeah, I kind of thought about it. I, can connect with some more people and kind of build on that. She remembered that conversation because then she was the one that reached out and said, hey, there's this thing that came up. And so sometimes reaching out to somebody, I think that started from a conversation you had way beforehand that you didn't even realize it was going to turn into what it was, because then they thought about you. And that's a huge compliment. Like when she was said, like, I really liked our conversations. I liked how we've kind of chatted, and other people that have chatted with you as well. I just think you'd be great in the role of just kind of putting yourself out there. So, but it's those conversations that you have years ahead that you don't realize that are going to end up coming back because of how you were intentional in that moment with that person that they remember you, to kind of call you back to fill one of those roles. So, yeah.
Well, we're an industry of doers, like in a lot of different ways. And the 80-20 thing happens everywhere. And so even in an industry of doers, when maybe you're the person that does everything in your agency. And so then you get to the state conference and you're seeing all those things get done. So you're like, oh, they got it. They don't need me, but they probably do. They take an extra hand. Or if you do it at your agency and you do it at the state conference, so you get to national conference, say, oh, they don't need me there. Yeah, they probably do. There's 20% of the people doing 80% of the work in every capacity. And so if you reach out to leadership locally, state, nationally, and say, if you ever need help, if you ever need help, let me know and I'll step in. You'll probably get contacted pretty quickly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would think. Is it my turn?
I think so.
So a question I like to ask people, and since I don't know y'all very well, I think it's going to be interesting. One of our interview questions, I always look for, you talked about passion. I like obsession. I want to know what you're obsessed over. it's something that when I'm interviewing, I want to know. It doesn't have to be about work.
Mhm.
It could be about something. But if you don't have an obsession over anything, it makes me wonder if you have the passion to do the grind that we're going to have. And so, what are you obsessed with? What is something you have an obsession of? Because the incredible thing about obsession is people support it until it gets to a point, and then they think you're fucking crazy, right? They're like, oh, like you're working out 3 times a week. They're like, oh, that's great, and then you're dieting. Oh, it's great. And then you're 5 times a week. And like, oh, don't you want to enjoy a piece of, you know what I mean? And so there's a point where passion does kind of bleed over the other side, and then people go from supporter to being like, whoa, hold on a second, and a lot of times it's their comfort level of your obsession, passion. But what is something that you are obsessed over?
I love life. I could answer that like 5 different ways, right? I am obsessed with musky fishing.
I don't even know what that is.
I think we all need to.
That might as well be a band. Big fish.
Really big fish.
Fish.
Yes, I love fishing for big fish. And it's because when you catch the fish, it's exciting, but it's also like the like teaching my kids how to do it, getting them infold into like this generational, like passed down hobby that we have, that my family has. And my 3 little redheaded boys are all learning how to cast really heavy plugs.
Is this the grumpy old men? You put a hole in the ground in a shack?
No,
That's ice fishing.
Ice fishing. No,
Little fish.
fishing. But I could answer it so many ways. Like I'm like the really annoying mom at the sporting events, screaming at my kids. Like I'm so obsessed with them doing well and being successful. I love to read. I'm obsessed with my book club, which is really wine club.
Masquerading as
a book club, but I always read the books. So I feel like I'm trying to just say yes to everything and find like fun in it. And when I find fun in it, then I don't want to stop. And it does turn into like, well, now I'm obsessed about this cool thing too, or live music or whatever. So I could talk about all the things that I love for an hour myself. Yeah. And I'll let you talk instead.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm sure my wife's going to listen to this. So it's funny because you talk about obsession. You talk about books. Like, believe it or not, like I'm a podcast, I'm a listener. I'm like, I just don't have the patience to sit. I'm a doer. I'm kind of like all moving. And so I've actually like used the library, and all of a sudden there was one day where I ended up checking out 2 books. I literally walked into the house and was like holding them, walking.
Look at this.
And she was like, what happened to you? And my wife, it's like on her side of the bed, she like look under the bed, there's like 10 books. She's one of those that like read from one book to the other. So
and you can do like 2 or 3 books at a
then
time.
she keeps them all straight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even keep one book straight.
It's amazing.
So I've gotten more into that, which is good because I needed something to kind of slow my mind down because my mind goes.
What books?
What kind of books? Self-help. There's a gentleman, I believe he's from Holland. It's Moral Ambition. There's actually a school out in Europe. It's called the School of Moral Ambition. So it's about identifying what you can do for the greater good and how to use those tools. So that was great. So that one's real good. Right now I'm reading a book. It's actually here. It's called The Nature Fix, which is pretty good. So not so much like the stories, but The Art of Racing in the Rain is one that they turned into a movie. I will reread that and reread that. It'll make me cry every single time. But if you haven't read that book or seen the movie, The Art of Racing in the Rain is a really good one as well. So yeah, it's a really good one. But so recently, like new obsession is reading. And then the other day we actually had a snow day. So apparently I'm
here.
Yeah. It was cold. It was a Friday. Although we had some really, you think it's chilly now. It was a couple, was it 2?
I do think it's chilly now.
It was like, well, you would have really, that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had like the deep freeze. Yeah, you would have started running back down.
Yeah.
No, he would not be running.
Well, I'd walk
He
fast.
probably would have. He's like,
That might have been the first time I run here.
Yeah, they're crazy. But yeah, so we did that. And I've been trying to work on things to slow my mind down to like kind of be intentional on that. So like even goofy stuff like puzzles. Like I went to Goodwill because I'm not going to spend, $20 for a brand new puzzle. I went to Goodwill for like $2, got a puzzle and forced myself to squeeze all those little pieces together, but it's those things that that's my new obsession.
I don't think you're supposed to squeeze the puzzle together. Are you like jamming them in?
Yeah, voice coming in. I don't think that goes there. That goes there. It's going there.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listener, is it time to DTR this relationship and make you a sponsor? I don't even know what the hell that means, but I do know that each episode of RecLess averages over 500 listeners. That's 500 potential ears attached to agencies that you could influence or reach. Over all of our social media and listening platforms, we have over 2,200 subscribers and it's growing. This spot right here could be yours. Not only would you reach the Parks and Rec masses, but your contribution goes directly to supporting Parks and Rec professionals in the field through scholarships for professional development. Contact us at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details. Okay, now back to the show.
We talked about in the last, in my last session, about how amazing this profession is about sharing. And you had kind of just mentioned
Muskie.
Yes, well, muskie. We're talking about muskies too, but what we do. All right. And we asked some of the individuals. I got a chance to work with Shane a couple weeks ago on a project, and I got to learn a lot about what he's doing in Pflugerville. It was the best. Yeah, it was the best day of my life. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're really excited about and proud of in your own agencies and share with everybody here? I think the funny thing about these conferences is we talk and network a lot, but I don't know that we always share that. And so, yeah, I would love to hear about
It's
what
like
you're
bragging a little bit sometimes.
doing. It can be. Yeah.
And not always comfortable with that, right?
Yeah, and you're good at that.
Let's talk about Pflugerville, folks.
So I'm the director at Dane County Parks. Were any of you in my session earlier this morning? No, that's okay. I know, right? I got to brag about some cool things that we're doing. Dane County is really aggressively acquiring parkland. We have been for about a decade. Dane County, for you out-of-staters, is like the county that Madison sits in, right? So very heavily developing fast. And our leaders have decided that we want to get more land into public trust before it all grows houses. And so thousands and thousands of acres the county has bought and then given to the county park system for us to work on both managing the recreational opportunities, and then core to my department's mission is land stewardship. So I have an incredibly talented team that is working really hard to convert acres of what is generally farmland that we buy into a permanent cover, usually prairie, sometimes forests and savannas where we're planting trees too. And I feel like we're cutting edge in the way that we're doing it and the way that we're studying the work that we're doing and framing it in a lens of helping solve a piece to solve the climate challenge. And so articulating that our work is important, and then a fabulous team that can do so much. It's pretty cool.
That's great. That's great. Chad, you shared with us on our discussion some really great things you're doing. It sounds like maybe that's maybe a common theme in this state, that your agencies, your cities, your counties are actively trying to reclaim land that isn't being used the way it used to and turn it into open space. That's amazing.
It's probably a lot of farmland here, I'd imagine, at some capacity.
It's a lot of
farmland. So you don't have a lot of trees on farmland, right? That didn't help the farm back in the day. You had a lot of acres that you were doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reforesting some of that stuff.
Yeah, reforesting or planting prairie instead, which would have been the pre-settlement vegetation here. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing work that you guys are doing there, because you're protecting that land. Because as you know, if there's grass or there's got to build something, we got to put something there.
Yeah.
And if you don't preserve that and keep that, and all those like Northern Illinois, Lake County, like forest preserve, they're huge. All those forest preserves, like they're just protecting all of that space. So it's there for way after us. So thank you for that work and all the stuff you guys are doing in the county. It's just so important. It's not easy work, but it's important work. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's exciting. And it only works because all of the levels are supportive of it, right? Our elected officials are supportive of it. They're financing it. I mean, land prices, I don't know what, land values are in your states, but in Dane County, I think they're really high, right? And so we're spending millions and millions of dollars on property to protect it for future generations and for public use and for the ecosystem services that the land provides, whether it be flood resiliency or habitat for wildlife, all the recreational benefits. There's just so many reasons to do this. The list goes on and on. But if it wasn't for the staff that were so knowledge and passionate that can implement the work, right? And the elected officials and like the leader here that can make those arguments for on both sides on why this is important. Like it wouldn't work without all those pieces jamming them together in that puzzle.
Yeah, I think the thing about purchasing land that they talk about is that's the one thing they're not making any more of.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so you really, you do want to make hay when you can on that type of opportunity and take advantage of it, because whoever buys it,
Yeah, you don't know what they're gonna do with it.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to take down McMansions, right?
Right.
Like it's only in this opportunity.
How about you, Matthew?
So I'm the agency I'm at now, I've been there for 7 months. The second one since I've been in Wisconsin for just over 6 years now, since I moved over. But currently right now I stepped into a project. So the unique thing in Wisconsin is we've got a number of rec departments that are actually part of school districts. And I'm one of them, actually both agencies I was
fascinating,
at. So my current one, Mequon-Thiensville School District, and I was with the Wauwatosa School District, which Wauwatosa is just outside of Milwaukee border. And then
you're making up names now, right?
oh no. I will make up names. if you want.
We'll just continue to nod. Wauwatosa, sure. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
But when I stepped in, they'd already started working on like a partnership. So the building that we're in was an old elementary school that they had just with the student population, they just had closed down. Well, that's our community center. But in the back part, there's a property to where there's a playground that's just very tired, needs to get overhauled, and a big grass space that's used for our flag football program, which is a very successful flag football program. 2 little ball diamonds, just needs a lot of work. And of course, we all joke about pickleball, but pickleball's a thing. There's an association that was very adamant about using that property to facilitate some sort of pickleball structure. So there's an agreement between reserves that Fund 80, the rec department, would have that would be putting into the pot. And then they actually raised a boatload of money and they put it all together. Originally, it was just going to be pickleball and they're going to leave everything alone. We actually we landed a grant, which is going to bring in another $375 on top of everything else, which is great. But it's been a good journey because there's things that I hadn't been part of in those projects. So like a cultural heritage site visit and doing those kind of things. It's been great working with all the different capacities. So this spring's going to be a fun time to kind of get your hands involved and be in some of those spaces, making sure like the new playground is where we fighting to make sure that those spaces are going to be accessible for everybody.
You mentioned pickleball, and I think removing pickleball, because I think a lot of us have had a hot sports opinion on pickleball one way or the other, but I think it's growth when you change your mind. At some point in life, if you've defended the same mindset process the whole time, you haven't really grown. You've just defended some prejudice that you were born with or that you heard about or that you were socialized to in some capacity. So what is something in our industry, other than pickleball, that you've completely changed your mind on and why? And we'll all just pause and wait for you to answer.
Man, that's a good question.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I know. I'll start. We'll do one.
Yeah, you go for it.
I mean, I think esports, and I was the other way on y'all. I don't think you ever esports. Yeah, and I don't think you ever changed. But I heard about esports, and I thought at some level this could be the future. Like you were seeing it, and I thought it could be the future because the one thing that we don't do well, or that, and I won't speak for our industry, but what we weren't doing well in Pflugerville is adaptive kids, like figuring out a way, even if we were adapting things, they didn't feel like they were the superstars on the field or in the spots like they would in a regular open play environment. But when you saw a kid with a special disability or some sort of adaptation playing an esport, they could be just as good or potentially even better than, one of their classmates. In fact, our assistant city manager at the time in Pflugerville had gone to visit his brother, who is the police chief in Las Vegas. And so he and his brother are walking around this exhibit hall in Las Vegas, and they had their kids with them. And the two kids saw a classmate, and this classmate got introduced as they were walking in this big room. And it was a room kind of like this, and everyone was cheering for this kid. And it was an esports tournament. He had just been announced, and he was walking in at one of these things. And it was like a Comic-Con thing. So there's all these different things going on, which is why they were there. But this little section had been carved out as this esports area. And those kids were like, oh, actually, we don't know him very well because he's in the special needs program. I think they thought he was he's on the spectrum in some way. And my ACM was taken back by, here's a kid that in some capacity maybe has even potentially been ostracized at his school, but he's getting applauded into a room because of his ability to play this thing. And so I thought at that time, I was like, yeah, esports, I think will hit. Didn't really hit, not in our industry. I think it did in the private sector. There's definitely some thing there for those that really dive into it. But we did esports early, and we still actually do them. And it's great to see a dad or a mom play Mario Kart with their kid and beat them and just rub it in their face. And their kids having to play on the Golden Tee game while the dad or the mom gets to advance to the next round of the Mario Kart tournament. When they just showed up and they were convinced to sign up, and they said, yeah, sure. And the kid didn't realize the dad's been playing Mario Kart, since he was a kid or whatever. And so, or remembered it from when he was a kid. And so it's cool to see that multi-generation play. But it just never picked up in our part of the world like it did, I think, in some sections. Y'all have something?
Yeah, let's go to the guests first, right?
I was trying to give y'all more time.
I appreciate that. That was great.
You
ready.
You filibustered that. That was about 30 minutes for
Thank
that
you.
conversation.
See you later, everybody.
So in my previous role, I was a park supervisor. We were working on this development project for a really large baseball athletic complex. And the sub-architect that our engineering firm hired ended up being somebody that I knew in college. We went to college together. And so it was neat to reconnect. And as we were like sitting there reviewing, 60% design plans or something, we're talking about where the trees are going to go. And I'll be honest, at an athletic field, like, I don't want any trees, right? I was like, we should just pave it all. And he looked at me and he goes, 20-year-old Joleen is so upset with you right now, right? Because I went to school for natural resources. Like, I'll still tell you, right? Land stewardship is really important to me, but this idea of like right tree, right location, or some locations, no tree at all, right? I had to just over time learn, like, it's still not a good fit here, right? Like, I can't force this square peg into a round hole because it is important to me, right? Like, I have to make the right decision based on what's happening in each project and each time, and all the circumstances are always different. So I'm constantly like learning and questioning if that was the right decision, and then realizing I failed and changing my mind. But like, a tree is like just one good example of it.
That's tough sometimes not to fit our preferences into the things we're doing,
Yes.
right? For an agency, and to be able to understand the difference between being the expert in the field and then also allowing your preferences to flavor that in some way. Like, sometimes you're right, whether we're building a very large rec center, I didn't want any indoor water at all and tried to fight for it. The community really wanted it. All the surveys showed that we should do it, and we're ultimately doing it. But I didn't want to run it because if it freezes or moves in any capacity, it's maintenance and it's just more cost. But at some point I had to be like, whoa, it's not my $80 million rec center. It's the city's. We should really give them what they want. And so, yeah, you have to be able to temper preferences versus what that spot needs.
Yeah. The esports, by the way, in college is still massive.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I think in application,
the rec study, I think some of them, I remember, like, even in Illinois, like, they would take teen centers that weren't as popular, they turn them into like almost membership driven. Like, you go in, all the systems would be there, you'd have your monthly fee. But yeah, in our setting, it works in some communities. So to kind of go off of Joleen, it's earlier in my career, I think maybe it's just a male thing, but like, we're fixers. We like try to get things done right away. So like, earlier in my career, I didn't have all the patience in the world because I just needed to get it done. In theory, check the box and move on to the next thing. And as I've matured, or at least I try to pretend like I'm matured in my career and in my years of life, to have more patience and slow down and be more present in the moment with the different scenarios that go on, because, the community's coming to us in times where the situation to them is brand new. We might have heard it a million times. So to have patience and have grace in that is something I've really tapped into a lot. I think it makes you a better leader as well. But having the patience, God knows, working with the public, you got to have patience too. And you're biting the tongue and having to sometimes sew your tongue back on. But you know, those are definitely things that been really important over the years.
I got one more question, then we're gonna roll into some rapid fire quick ones. And just kind of playing off what
You're never going to answer your question, huh?
You know,
time. We don't have time.
Yeah, sure.
Going off of what Tom had a few minutes ago about sharing, you know, one thing that I absolutely love about our profession is the ability to share ideas, programs, events, and, you know, calling up someone and saying, hey, I saw this program in your program guide or on your website. Like, can you give me the insight on how you ran that? Or like, where'd you get the idea? Is there a program or an event that you stole, quote unquote, from another organization? What was it, and have you implemented, or is there something that you're going to implement because of a conversation about a program or an event?
So we use the word stealing, but in all the positive facts.
Oh, it's a great thing. It's not a bad thing at all. People know that, like,
you're doing it right, everyone's going to want to steal it.
Yeah.
So one of my last agencies when I was in Illinois, we actually stole it from another one, but it was like a special event called Flannels and Flapjacks. So like parents and families would show up in all their flannels and all that, but then you'd have, you know, breakfast, so you'd have the pancakes and stuff like that. And it was just a blast. Like any of those like things where kids are just coming in, some of them are half awake, you know, like they haven't even woke up, and some of them are like already bouncing off the walls, and you pour an extra syrup on the pancakes. Like kids don't need that much sugar in the morning. But yeah, flannels and flapjacks. That was a fun one. That was really cool.
What's interesting about that question too is whenever we've kind of had that conversation, a lot of times the ones that people think of have a really cool name like that.
Yeah.
And the other one that comes to mind when you said that is the Tops and Bobbers.
Yeah, Meredith.
So the fishing program that they got involved with the police department, and the kids could fish with police officers, which is awesome because then you just kind of build a relationship. So there's always a play on a name that can make it even more successful. So
speaking of that too, the mentorship program, my last pairing was from
we weren't speaking on that.
Sorry, what's that?
We weren't speaking on that.
I know, but it was anyway. It was she was from Florida, and same type of thing program she shared during a memorial event, whiskey and war stories. Really cool program. So veterans came, and what were we talking about before? Wanting to retire, slinging old fashions, things like that. So,
veterans liquored up.
Yeah, and they were talking about all their
I'll volunteer
their
for that.
memoirs.
There you go. If you need help.
If you need help, I'll volunteer.
I was going to say, I'm at your supper club once you start that. So I'll be there.
Is there a program or event that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, it has been many years since I got to do any programming, just because, I'm in the county parks department and we don't do a lot of rec stuff. So kind of thinking back to my career, you know, earlier on in my career, and we stole this idea of, I think a nonprofit runs it, Bike the Barns, where you like bike around rural Dane County and look at cool barns, I think was the goal. But we changed it a little bit so that it was biking to 3 of our park properties and looking at cool projects. And so I don't remember what we called it. Like it probably had a catchy name. It's failing me right now, but love stealing ideas.
No, and the reason I bring that up is like this conference and conferences in general, it's a perfect setting to have those conversations and just share what one of your key programs is for your department with someone else. And then you go back with ideas. So, but rolling in, we got about 6-7 minutes left. I'm going to transition over to some rapid fire. And if you have not listened to a previous podcast, we do a lot of talks on food, sports, or travel. So I don't think Shane's ever been to Wisconsin.
The Dells.
He's been here once 20 years ago, he said.
Came here for spring break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Riveting. Stupid. Texans are so dumb, you know.
But from a food perspective, favorite restaurant, hands down, anywhere in the state. If we could go there tomorrow, where are you taking us?
I'm taking you to Pine Ridge, which is a supper club in northern Wisconsin. So we're going to have a 3.5-hour drive.
What's a supper club? You've mentioned that a few times.
Yeah. You have to stay now.
Is this bad?
No.
Oh, no, it's.
Oh, no. But
Should I know what this is?
Yeah.
it is.
Blood in, blood out. So good luck to you.
Yeah.
If you would have came to the social last night, you'd
That's
know.
right.
There are books written about famous Wisconsin supper clubs, coffee table books, everything. So really it's where you're going to get like the best fish fry and you're going to have the best old fashioned and like all your neighbors are going to be there. And it's the tradition that you go and salad bars.
How do you join the club?
Yeah, it's public. It's just
The public club. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a restaurant. It's just a bar and a restaurant, but it's like the style of food
Okay.
and kind of the casual dining environment.
All the supper club conference stories are all starting to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take you to my favorite supper club.
Okay.
And we're going to have Friday night fish fry.
Okay.
I like a good-
I like a fish fry. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Shane has ever had a fish fry.
Probably not.
I'm not much of a fish person. It's like a vegetable in Texas. I don't know.
Oh, geez.
Oh, Rooney speaks up.
Yeah, right.
It's a great face for me.
What about you?
So the restaurant, it's in the Milwaukee area. So it's funny because I'm in Wisconsin. So we're like meat, potatoes, cheese, all this other stuff.
Now we're talking.
I'm the oddball. I'm that vegan vegetarian. I know Shane's about to throw me out the door. There's a restaurant on the east side of Milwaukee called Beans and Barley. It's been there forever. It's actually unfortunately closing.
I can tell you why.
Not out of choice. Podcast is done.
So you can't take us there.
They do have meat there, so you'd be all right. They do
Yeah,
have
okay,
meat.
sweet.
So, but yeah, great restaurants. Unfortunately, they're closing.
Okay.
My wife and actually had our wedding food was catered from there.
Oh, cool.
There, so that was great.
Okay, so in the supper club,
Yeah.
you're going to create a supper club, and you've got 3 positions for us. What roles are you giving us in the supper club?
Oh my gosh. Well, I hear that you might be a little bit more introverted, so I'm going to make you the dishwasher.
Yeah. That might be the best answer
That is great.
Thank you so much for giving.
I'd fucking do that all day long.
Perfect. All right.
He would be alone. He would love it.
I'd love it. Warm water,
Have you ever been a dishwasher? It is the most disgusting job.
I do dishwashing at my house
Okay.
every day. Yeah, I got 4 kids. I dishwash
Yeah.
them.
That was my first
Good role.
service industry job it's sturdy. I don't want to be the
I'll be
dishwasher,
fine.
but you'll be great. I think only because I got to chat with you a little bit more in planning for this, Jay, I'd put you in the bartending role. Because you were really easy to talk to, natural, like
I did it in college as well, so it did help me get
Yeah.
to college.
that's great. And then Tom, I don't know, are you the host, like greeting everyone when they come in?
Could be.
Yeah,
Could be.
okay.
He does like to cook.
I cook too.
No?
So, you
Okay. Yeah, my restaurant
he
has no
makes some
cook,
weird
so-
shit.
Supper club sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So
What's your vegan restaurant? What are our?
You don't even want to know. Don't ask me.
Let me wash those dishes. No, I'm just kidding.
So I think when we talk about these conferences and you all have, you've been to a few in different states. What's the one piece of advice you tell younger professionals that you have in your office or your teams about when they go to conference? How should they approach it? What's your piece of advice for them?
The biggest piece of advice I would say is to not hang out with your own team and the people you see all.
That's yeah.
Force yourself to just have that sometimes uncomfortable, weird moment of just randomly talking to somebody. The best thing is we've got these, so you'll have your name right in front of you to say, hey, and the person's probably like, how do you know my name? Oh, shoot, it was right. That's awkward. You knew my name. But yeah, just putting yourself in those spaces.
That's great. Kudos to whoever did the name badges. Their giant first names are very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Shane can't see very well. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And I would also say, plan out the sessions that you want so that you're going to get the most of, and then make sure you actually get there. So don't skip the social and like go to bed early so you get up. You got to do both. You got to go to the social and you got to power through that 8:30 in the morning one with a smile on your face.
Got to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah.
Key.
I think you earn the right to skip it once in a while.
No.
When you're younger, you go.
Yeah, when you're younger, but that was the advice for a younger crowd. But,
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Not here.
One more round really quick. So
Okay.
music question, favorite venue in Wisconsin or favorite concert you've ever been to?
So many. My favorite venue for sure is Alpine Valley. There's just something magical about being like outside and seeing music there. And I got to see Radiohead at Alpine Valley in like 2003, still in just out of high school. Like, and it was
I've heard of it. I don't know what songs they sing, but I've heard
it was, I think that I was young enough that I didn't even realize how rare it was to have them tour and then to have it be in an outdoor venue was cool.
So true story, really quick. I am, for those that may not have ever listened before, I'm a huge Dave Matthews Band fan, and Alpine Valley is like one of their staple venues they play every year. There's only like 3 or 4 venues that are like always there. It's always there. It's SPAC, Gorge, them, but I've been to SPAC, never been to Alpine, but I've heard it's incredible.
You gotta come.
Yeah.
So multiple venues in one Summerfest.
Okay.
Like Milwaukee Summerfest.
Yeah.
I mean, every act you can think of goes there, every genre. Food, like you name the food's there. Great people watching. If you're ever bored, just show up. You don't even have to watch the shows, just people watch. It's great. Yeah, so one show there, Amos Lee. I don't know if anybody's heard of Amos Lee. He played on the side stage, of all things. His tickets are pretty expensive normally, but it was just a regular ticket. One of the side stages had massive bass. So then he started going right into Rage Against the Machine. And if you know Amos Lee, like Rage Against the Machine, Amos Lee, 2 different angles.
Oh yeah, he's got
mellow. And he nailed it. He just nailed it. It was so cool. Everybody he thought it was like mosh pit was about to start. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, Summerfest property. I mean, all the people that here know, but if you guys ever come back during the summer, it used to be like all week for a while. Now they're doing weekends after the pandemic. So it's great.
Is he the cookie guy?
No, different Amos.
Famous. He's famous.
That's famous Amos.
Yes.
That's the only Amos I know.
But actually, he has a hit song that was like on a bunch of commercials and movies that you would know that song.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll play it for you later.
Is it mine or yours?
It's
Either of us.
one
No,
of
you
you.
tell me.
Super Bowl's this weekend.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know the teams very well, who's your prediction? Who's going to win?
I think the Seahawks. Well, I want the Seahawks.
Perfect. Excellent answer.
If I'm investing time, I want a game that's going to be worth watching.
And then who
Not
wins?
not like a whole blowout and stuff like that. So if I'm going to invest time, I think I'm in that. So being a Chicago kid and then coming to Wisconsin, like I'm always getting picked on. So like, oh, you're a Bears fan, or oh, you're a Cubs fan, like all this stuff. I'm like, I've gotten to the point in my life, especially after we ran youth athletics for a while. It's like, I just want a good game. I want people to enjoy themselves. And then, of course, people throw the BS card down going, come on, seriously, you're not competitive?
But who do you think's going to win?
Seahawks.
Look at that.
Jeez.
Look at that, buddy.
Well,
It's your time.
okay. Last question, sports related too. I think I've asked this question to Tristan and Chad, and I'm always fascinated when we come to these kinds of states that have the big markets. So Brewers, Packers, or Bucks, and why? And I know you're not from here.
No,
you're okay. You can.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Good.
I mean, all of the above, but I guess Packers, I've gone probably to more of those games live. And so that would be it.
Okay.
I'd say Brewers. Yeah, Brewers. You love baseball. Baseball is just that space being in there.
Probably not a bad seat, right? It's
No. Mhm.
okay.
We're going to bring Rooney
Good
up.
outing for the Brewers too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to ask the same question to our number one fan over here. She's got to, because I see a face that she's got to get an answer.
Come over here. Come on.
So come up here,
Yeah.
Rooney, just for a minute, and then we'll close it out.
You stay up with us as we close it out. She stay right here.
Yeah.
So this is Rooney, for those that do not know her. This is Trista's daughter, and she's been a fan since day one. And you didn't like those answers, I don't think. So what would your answer be?
Brewers, of course.
All right. Hands up in the air, so I was just curious.
And where would you eat? Where's your favorite place to eat in Wisconsin?
Gotta say Buffalo Wild Wings.
Buffalo Wild
Nice. And who's winning the Super Bowl, the Patriots or the Seahawks?
I'm gonna say Seahawks.
Yeah.
Good job.
Awesome. And I love that you're matching the shirt with Shane.
I love it. Yeah.
That was
looks
fun.
good.
Can we get a picture after?
Sure.
Oh,
Do you want her to close it out?
and the fact that you could skip school to be here today is pretty impressive.
Well, she skipped school to play in the water park. Not
Yeah.
You
really.
guys better be careful. This is recorded.
That's right. You're sick.
shouldn't
Paul.
have said
Yeah.
We'll edit it out.
Rooney, do you have a question for us before we?
Do you like the Brewers or Cubs better?
That's a good question. I'm a Braves fan, but out of those two, I would lean toward the Brewers.
Okay.
Good story. They always find a way.
I've never been to the Brewer Stadium. I've been to Wrigley, but I like going to new stadiums. So I'll become a Brewers fan and go check out a new stadium.
Okay.
Fair.
I was in Illinois when what was the Steve Bartman? Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have never liked Cub fans after that. So let's go Brew Crew all the way.
Well, everybody here, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you to our two guests that spent their time up here and doing some prep work with me. I really appreciate the time. And it's been a great conference.
Yep.
Hope to see you all tonight at the social.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
How are you? Good to see you.
That's all like.
Rooney, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Here at RecLess, we love to give back to the community that we're so passionate about. We do that by providing scholarships to professionals to attend conferences they may not otherwise be able to attend. That's where you come in, sponsorships. If you are interested in a sponsorship, we'd love to connect with you. So this spot could be yours. Contact us today at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.